It's in auction rooms like this that people are persuaded to part with tens of thousands of pounds for a single bottle of wine. The man responsible for making London the epicentre of today's seismic fine wine market is Michael Broadbent, who started Christie's wine department in 1966.
1,300, 1,350, 1,400. At 1,400 against you, 1,400, my bid at 1,400. Any more? 1,400.
Auctioning looks terribly difficult to me. Wasn't it terrifying when you first took the rostrum?
But I was terribly nervous when I started. In fact, I used to be sometimes physically sick. At 310, 320, on the right, at 320. Any more? At 320. The first 6 lots I ever sold were knocked down to a lunatic. I didn't know that at the time. Well, they were liqueur miniatures. But 3 weeks later, I received a letter. He had been let out of an institution only 2 weeks before he came to the sale, and he thought he was bidding for picture miniatures. Could I let him off? Oh, my God. Lot 35, the Baron.
Today, Michael's known the world over for much more than just selling. In constant demand as writer, taster and lecturer, he must be Britain's top wine export.
These 3 rather wild, tousle-headed young chaps came in. I didn't know who they were, and they were buying all the best things, and I wasn't totally happy. And usually I rely on my feelings, and I just stopped taking bids. And I didn't notice them going out. They went out in huff, apparently.
Because you hadn't taken their bids?
I refused to take their bids. At 1 o'clock, the sale finished. At about 1:05, I got a phone call from somebody representing Mr. Andrew Lloyd Webber. And his client regarded this as a tremendous insult, and I forget the actual words he used, but he was about to sue me and Christie's. 260. It was actually my worst moment as an auctioneer. I then asked Andrew to lunch, and since when, actually, we've been really quite close friends.
Until he sold all his wine to Sotheby's.
When I heard he sold his wine from Sotheby's, I said, Andrew, how could you? Going at 1,200.
You and Sotheby's aren't exactly friendly rivals, are you?
You'll find that the rivalry between Christie's and Sotheby's as a whole has always been pretty, I wouldn't say necessarily bitter, but pretty active.
Serena Sutcliffe, the head of Sotheby's wine department, you don't like to go to tastings that she's at?
I find it, there's a chemistry between people. And I find her really, if you really want to know, I find her haughty and rather sort of nose in there and, what is the word?
Well, you've got...
Pretentious is the word, if you really want the word. Actually, you're going to kill me for this. She probably thinks I'm the most tiresome person, too.
Michael's always in a hurry, hurrying from his London flat to his office, to his club, to a tasting, so he chooses from his 3 bicycles.
I like it. I get a tremendous feeling of release. If I've been worrying about something overnight, which I frequently do, the minute I get on my bike, I feel very relaxed. I had 2 accidents. Both, I regret to say, careless ladies opening car doors without looking.
Unlike careless gentlemen riding the wrong way up a one-way street. Everyone's after Michael's palate. Here he is assessing 1990 Sauternes for a wine magazine.
I think, was it Pamela who says assertive?
About you?
1 or 2, no, but wine! No, I started my little red books in September 1952, and they're always exactly the same. Ideal. They're terribly expensive. If you have to buy one of these with nothing in it, it costs about £4. It's outrageous. It's a fetish. I sub-index them, and I just put the date and the occasion, people I'm tasting with sometimes.
Your overall impression of the vintage?
Hefty wines, a big vintage, plenty of botrytis, And as David said, a fair amount of acidity, which of course if you've got a hefty wine and a sweet wine, you need the acidity. But far more variation than I would have expected.
So you've probably tasted more fine and rare wine than anybody else. Which bottles stand out?
I don't know where to start. The Magnum of 1870 Lafite from Glamis Castle, which was actually opened in this room. It was simply perfect. 1811 Tokai Essence, for example, is memorable. There are so many. I adore all these wines.
What do you think of these amazing prices that wine's fetching now?
They are rather frightening. Lot 86, Le Pen 82, bidding will open at 16,000, 17,000, 18,000. 18,000 pounds. At 18,000 pounds. Having said that, it really doesn't, frankly, I don't care tuppence what people pay for Le Pen or Petrus. It's not in the realms of realism. It's a fantasy world. Shouldn't say this, marvellous wine.
But aren't there ways of working the room, of coaxing people?
Not really. There are occasions, I must say, when I've leant over and said, I'm quite sure, just one more. Another £5.
Another 500 nowadays, more like. Michael probably spends more time in the air than in his office. His complex itineraries masterminded by his saintly secretary of more than 30 years.
I finished it at Bali, and I returned to Singapore. Not what I was hoping to do was to get a day flight from Singapore, from Bali to Singapore, and a night flight back. So we don't waste any time.
She's having trouble finding an airport.
I'm just a guy who can't say no. I mean, I've been conducting sales in America for longer than anybody else at Christie, since '69, and they're very receptive. But the Germans too. I like the Germans. Do I like the Germans? Well, well, like some of them.
He likes them enough to be trying at 70 to learn German so he can be master of the sale room there too.
Wie ist das Wetter an der Nordseeküste?
It's bloody awful. Oft scheint die, what the hell is scheint? Wechselschaft.
Wechselhaft.
Wechselhaft. Oh God, it's so painful. It really is. Ferienwohnungen.
Wohnungen.
Why do they make these names so long? Die Fahrt, sounds rather rude to me. Die Fahrt hin und zurück dauert 4 Stunden. Well, anyway, never mind. I'll ring you later on about this evening. Okay. Yeah, bye. That's my amanuensis, my wife, who lost her handbag, but she comes to all my tastings and takes notes. Daphne keeps me in order, ticks me off constantly, criticised constantly, but is very sort of phlegmatic, and I mean, we're totally different in character.
You'd have very different sleep patterns, don't you?
Yes, I think she would never ever go to bed if I didn't badge her. I won't tell you exactly what she does late at night, but anyway, she comes to bed very late, and then in order to send herself to sleep, she rattles away with, I don't know what it's called, one of these damn Game Gear things, and the rattling keeps me awake. I find it terribly irritating.
So you're crazy about claret and she's nuts about Nintendo?
Yes. Absolutely.